Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 meeting of the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. We'll begin today's meeting with the invocation and flag salute. The invocation today will be led by District 5, that's Supervisor Nathan Magzig, and following the invocation,
Here with us today is Reverend Dr. Jeremy Vaquero. He is the senior pastor of First Presbyterian Church in downtown Fresno. He came to First Pres in 2012 with his wife Diane and their children Kate, Andrew, and Rebecca. He leads the leaders of First Pres on the mission that God has given their church through Christ Jesus. So if you could all stand with me for the prayer and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you very much. Let's join in prayer. Thank you very much. Let's join in prayer. Our Father in heaven, as we begin this new year, we have much to be thankful for. Thank you for Fresno County. What a beautiful place that you have created. And we give thanks for all the beautiful things that you have given to us in this part of the world. Thank you for your generosity, your goodness, and your mercy that is demonstrated all throughout this county. We give you praise and we give you thanks. Thank you for the wonderful people of this county, a people with tremendous diversity and skill and resourcefulness. God, have mercy on us for the ways that we have not honored you, given you glory in the stewardship of this place or in the stewardship of this people. Have mercy on us as we live our lives, and may we live our lives for your glory. God, thank you for these supervisors. Thank you for your call on their lives to govern for the good of all people. And so we pray for them today. We pray that you would give them wisdom to lead well in times like this. Help them to love one another well. Help them to model for our country and our county how to constructively work together on difficult issues. Help them to have words that build each other up and not words that tear down. So guard their tongues and their minds and their hearts in Christ Jesus. Ultimately, God, we pray that you would use them to bring well-being and wholeness and peace and prosperity to this wonderful country and this wonderful county that we know that you desire here, God, because you created this place to be good. So may your intentions and your purposes and your will be done here in Fresno County, just as it is in heaven. And may ultimately you be glorified in their leadership and in our county. We ask it in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisibly, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
For the last part of my tenure as chairman of the board this morning, I wanted to put our Lord above all else and hold off on the roll call since everybody's here. So, Madam Clerk, would you please read the roll?
Supervisor Brandow. Here. Supervisor Maxig.
Here.
Supervisor Mendez. Here. Supervisor Pacheco.
Here.
Chair Quintero.
Here.
All present. Thank you.
Agendas are located on the table at the back of the chamber for anyone wishing to follow. Item 1, Clerk.
Item number 1, designations of officers and remarks by board members.
Okay. The designation of officers is a rotation governed by the Fresno County Charter. It is with great pleasure that I designate Supervisor Magzig as chairman of the 2024 Fresno County Board of Supervisors, and Supervisor Buddy Mendez is vice chairman for the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. Congratulations to both. As of note, no motion is required. At this time, everyone moves to the right of the dais, just like they did in the movie The Replacements. The clerk will move all the nameplates, etc.
And before we move on, I know that all of us have something that we would like to say, but I would like to first talk a little bit about Sal and give him some gifts. So first, what I would like to give to Sal is a gavel and a plaque, because every time we serve as Board of Supervisors, it's something which not only is a great honor, but it comes with some additional responsibilities. And so, Sal, thank you for guiding the County of Fresno in 2023, and so I have this plaque for you from the entire board. Congratulations. And also, Sal is our very own resident historian. He's been a great supporter of the Fresno County Historical Society for many years. And so I asked my staff to work with the president of the Historical Society, Elizabeth LaBall, to find a unique print taken by her grandfather, Claude Pop LaBall. Pop specialized in documenting California's San Joaquin Valley and the Sierra Mountains. And so Elizabeth found an old print of Kearney Mansion with one of the first caretakers and his family. In this photo, which I'm going to give to Sal, you will see a picture of Harry Kunishigi, his wife Haru, and son Fred, and an infant baby who is of the Kearney family. Harry came from Japan to be the caretaker of the Kearney property in roughly 1916. So I have this photo, which not too many people have seen, and my staff assisted in getting this framed. Congratulations.
Thanks again. I think Supervisor Mendez knows where this car is. He's the county historian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, let's get it shot together.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Sal. And so with that, Sal, do you have any comments, words of wisdom that you would like to share with us in the audience?
I want to thank my colleagues and staff for all your help, patience, and support, and the wonderful job that my staff did throughout this year. A lot of challenges are going to be coming up, but I'm grateful to have a good group of colleagues to work with, and staff as well. Always ready to respond and do the best we can to continue to make Fresno County great, and also all the directors of each of the departments always being accessible and working well with us. And thank you, Mr. CAO. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sal. Brian, yes.
Well, I'd like to thank Sal for his leadership last year. I appreciate his brief comments as we move to the other side of the dais. I'd just like to remind my colleagues, as Supervisor Mendez always and I like to say, less is more. So let's keep that in mind. I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year and look forward to the challenges in the year ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Steve.
Sal, I would like to add, I would also like to tell you that I appreciate your leadership last year. We had some tough conversations throughout the year, which is expected in this business, but you handled them with an amount of grace that was very respectful and honorable to everybody involved. And then also very helpful whenever my district needed to put something on the agenda or talk to you about getting something on the agenda. Very helpful, no obstacles, and we really appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. And Buddy.
Yeah, Sal, I want to thank you. I thought you did a spectacular job, and not surprising, but your eloquence and how you handled people, and way nicer than I am.
I learned from you.
Okay, yeah, not what to do, but I'm starting my 10th year here on a job that I never coveted. It was, although I knew every supervisor in District 4 for the last 40 years, It was just something that just kind of fell on me, and I'm glad I jumped into this. I'm just looking from the time that me and Supervisor Pacheco came, and I'm going to let staff, decide, but I think this is a hell of a lot better place. And I think I think people are a lot more open with each other in the county. I know 10 years ago, if you walked in this building and you said something to somebody, they would look up and, "You talking to me?" And this has changed. And I think it's changed for the better. And I want to thank all my colleagues for helping change it for the better. So thanks again, Sal.
And for me, as I look at what 2024 holds, I'm mindful of something that, this board has something which is special. While our board does not always agree, we are not disagreeable with each other. And I think it's important for us to bring different views and opinions to the table, and not always, we're not always a yes vote on all items. Sometimes we're split, and that's okay, but you don't see us fighting up here amongst ourselves or having this job become personal. And I think in this day and age, that's becoming more rare, and it's something that I don't want to lose. Also, as we move into 2024, I'm very mindful of the state budget and the challenges that our state budget is facing right now, as well as at the federal level, just a lot of the divisiveness that's taking place in Washington. I think about the last 10 years, and for me, I'm moving into my 8th year here. I look at where we were back in 2015 or 2017 and where we are today, and I can stand here before all of you and say that I've seen a lot of great things being done under the leadership of our directors of programs, our other elected officials that get to serve our great departments here at Fresno County. I look at the building projects that have been accomplished. I look at a lot of the debt that has been either eliminated or reduced. And I look at our reserves that we have as a county. We've more than quadrupled the reserves that we have here, making sure that our fiscal health is maintained. And so with all of that, really the congratulations goes to the people who really make up Fresno County, not only the citizens, but also those employees that get to work for this great county. And so I'm very much appreciative of all that's been done over the course of the last 7+ years that I've had the pleasure of being a part of Fresno County as an elected. So with that, I'm excited for 2024. I'm excited to get to work. Again, we face challenges today. You're going to hear about some of the election challenges that our elections clerk is facing, but I've got the utmost faith and confidence in his abilities, and look forward to working with all of you to facing those challenges head on. So with that, I will turn it back over to the clerk.
We now move to item number 2, approve agenda.
Any questions, comments, or modifications of the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for
Motion to
approval.
approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We will take Steve's second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously.
We now move to item number 3, approve consent agenda item number 17 through 47. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, item 32 has a correction. Item 32 is the amendment to number 2 to master agreement number 20-236 for individual and group providers for the Fresno County Medical Health Plan. The Department of Behavioral Health has a correction to consent agenda item 32, which is being distributed to you now. In the first paragraph of the discussion section of the agenda item, at the bottom of the first page, the first sentence has been revised from stating in part mild to moderate mental health conditions to serious mental illness and severe emotional disturbance.
Any board members wishing to pull any items?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull items number 18 and number 36.
18 and 36. Any other items to be pulled by board members? Hearing none. Anyone in the public wishing to pull or comment on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, bring it back to the board for a motion on the
Motion to
remainder.
approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
We will take up the consent items, Mr. Chairman. We'll move to item number 18. Under Supervisor Pacheco and Supervisor Quintero, adopt a resolution honoring the life of Sally Cagula.
Sal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A while back, we had a passing of a very great lady that contributed a lot to Fresno County. Her name was Sally Caglia. And I know many of you knew Sally or saw her running around, always with a smile on her face, always ready to help in any way she can to make Fresno better. And she was probably a big promoter of Fresno whenever she traveled around the world. And we just want to acknowledge Sally for all her contributions, whether she helped very quietly or she didn't like too much to be in front of everything, but just working quietly to do that. And I wanted to mention her. I've known the family forever, and wanted to acknowledge her, that today we adjourned in her memory, and also a proclamation, and a couple members of the family are here today to accept them. And this is on behalf of Supervisor Pacheco and I. Join it.
Mr. Chairman, I would just add to that, yeah, she was a very outgoing and vivacious lady, and you knew when she was in the room, always brought great energy, did a lot for the Fresno Fair and the community at large. When we're done, I would just ask your indulgence if we could have the members of the family that are here, if they want to say anything, and present a resolution to them, please. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Well, I would, there we go. This is what I wanted to see, some of the family members coming up. And Rich, if you have other family members that want to come up as well, too.
Come on, sissy.
Yeah, perfect.
I have my sister Rochelle with me, and thank you very much. My name is Richard Caglia. Many people in downtown Fresno over the decades have thought that Sally Caglia was my mother. I never corrected them. I received a lot of text messages and thank yous and various things since her passing and that becoming public. And it was interesting to see, I'm sorry about your mom, I'm sorry about your aunt, I'm sorry about your sister as well. But nonetheless, I very much appreciate you taking the time today to honor my aunt. And she was like my second mother, because she took very good care of us like we took very good care of her. Unfortunately, or fortunately, most of her children live abroad in very far locations of the world. Her closest son is in Colorado, so has been able to come back in and out of California and Fresno very frequently. But I don't know if, up there, right there you are. Did you want to say anything at all?
I just wanted to thank you for this acknowledgement for the life of Sally Caglia. She was a great example of servant leadership, and we hope to continue her legacy. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you
it.
both.
Thank you. And congratulations, Nathan, on your turnover.
Thank you.
So I would just like to say, and thank you to both of you for sharing about Sally. And Rich, it wasn't too long ago that I was at a fundraiser for, I think it was the Sheriff's Department or something like that, and your aunt was there, and I got a chance to talk with her. And the things that Supervisor Pacheco said are very honest and true. She was always a force to be reckoned with, and very vivacious, and had good things to say and good contributions to make to our community. So I do feel that we've lost a great pillar of our community. So please, to her children and to your extended family, would you let them know that we took this time today to honor her and her memory? Thank you very much.
100%. We'll probably send him a clip of the meeting.
All right on.
Buddy? One thing I remember about Sally is not only was she involved with many different nonprofits, but she loved being kind of behind the scenes too, whether it was her involvement with Warner's Theater, her involvement with Boys and Girls Club, her involvement even with CURE, helping low-income families get into housing. I got to see her just move across the spectrum of organizations, and was very interested in preserving history, but also pouring into the next generation too. So she was a rare person, someone that will definitely be missed, and but appreciate all that she gave to the county of Fresno. So thank you for that. If I could ask for the two of you to come forward, we have some items that we would like to give to you, and we will also take a picture.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we already voted on technically the resolution on consent. My friend, I love you. Thank you.
If I may add one more thing before I leave, I just want to publicly acknowledge, or at least have there one place where there's a public acknowledgement of the pouring out of support, the flowers that were sent, the notes that were sent, the messages that were sent, the elected officials and the bodies, our local dioceses that have acknowledged her passing. I can't speak. It speaks volumes of love. Thank you very much.
You want to make the motion?
This time, I'd like to make a motion that we accept. Okay?
Do the resolution.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor? Anyone in the public wishing to comment on that? Seeing none, we have a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
We now move to item 36, which was pulled by Supervisor Quintero. Adopt resolution acknowledging the emergency nature of the flooding incident at the Fresno County University Medical Center campus.
Have a couple comments for clarification of the amount that we'll be passing on to, that states in the report for UMC. It says, make a finding that it is in the best interest of the county to suspend the competitive bidding process consistent with Administrative Policy 34 for unusual and extraordinary circumstances for all agreements. And a couple questions for County Council. In doing this, we're basically approving $2 million with to repair the flooding in the building. And the question I have is that we've sold the building and we're still required to maintain it as it's going through the process.
We still have the building and we're still maintaining. There's been no closing of the transaction yet to sell the property. This has a lot to do with protecting, and I believe the ISD director can talk about that. There are the power plant issues and things like that in the main building that need to be preserved for the other units that are out there.
And, I mean, don't we have any schedule or time that we go into the building and kind of inspect it, make sure that everything's at least being taken care of properly?
So, thank you, Supervisor. Robert Bash, Director of Internal Services. So maybe I'll talk a little bit more about this item. You know, we start these items when the event actually happens. And typically, this is before we even have a full extent of what the cleanup that's needed and any mitigation of things that we need to do or adjustments that we might need to do for prevention of further events. With regards to the sale, we're about halfway through the due diligence period with our prospective buyer. So they've got a few more months of due diligence, and they're actively doing that on a pretty much almost a daily basis. So we're about halfway through that process. So although we've accepted an offer through the auction period back in October, they're still going through their due diligence. So we still own the property. We're still responsible for the property. And because we still have operations, we need to make sure that those operations still happen. On the $2 million figure, that was a high side placeholder again that we came up with back in mid-December. And we're at your board now in part because of the timing of board meetings and other things. At this point, we believe our cleanup and future mitigation efforts will probably land somewhere a little less than half of that. And a good portion of that will be eligible for reimbursement from our insurance carrier. Once we, have the finalization of things, go through their process for claims and things like that. As far as any mitigation that we're doing for future mitigation to try to prevent these things from happening, we're continuing our minimalistic protocol on the campus. We're going to do as little as we need to make sure that the couple of operations that are still happening on the campus can continue operating.
You said a good portion is going to be taken care of by the insurance company, covered by the insurance company?
Correct.
So why do you need 2 million then?
Again, now that we know more than we did in mid-December, we're thinking that'll be a little bit less than $1 million. We still have to pay for it up front, so we need the spending authority to be able to cut the checks, have Belfour out there and other vendors to do what's necessary now, and then we apply for reimbursement. So we still have to be able to pay vendors up front.
Was this incident caused more by just accidental, the age of the building and the pipes and all that, or was it maybe some individuals broke in and caused it?
This was a copper theft, yes.
Copper theft?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we had theft, I think, last year at some time, and at that time, we were going to provide more security and have so that we wouldn't have something like this happen. So what happened?
Some of the funds that you're doing today are going to go towards even more security. I only have so many security officers. We were doing increased patrols, but that building is a sieve. It is very hard to keep people out of that building. It never was intended to keep people out. It's very difficult to keep people out. So we'll be spending some of this money for increased security within that building as well.
Okay, when we had that last incident, I'd made a comment from the dais that there was a fellow, an officer in the sheriff's department that knew or knows how those individuals are getting into that building. And I forwarded the name, I believe, and nobody contacted him. But there's an area up there in that high building where they break in through that. So, I mean, that's just a lot of money.
Supervisor, there's multiple ways of getting into that building, and unfortunately, the ne'er-do-wells out there seem to be
But at
very
that
motivated.
time, we said we were going to have, we were providing you the funds for more security and have a better idea of how to take care of that building and have it more secure. And now we're setting aside $2 million. So I just don't, I don't know if I can support that. I don't know if my colleagues have any other questions, but that's good. I'm good. Thank you.
Just some general comments. I know that, well, we have not used the hospital portion, I think, since 2007 or 2008, but because there's a central plant that other buildings on that campus utilize, we've got to keep all that operational, which I want to say it's over $1 million a year just to keep the hospital mothballed. So I'm very much looking forward to getting off that campus almost entirely, as soon as possible. But I share Supervisor Quintero's concerns. It seems like it is a black hole. There's a lot of money being spent out there, and then we repair the damage, and then more damage is caused. So to the extent that we can slow that down or stop it altogether, I'm very interested and on board with, again, Sal's frustration in finding ways to stop that. Any other comments?
Yeah, I would agree with both your comments. I actually appreciate Supervisor Quintero's line of questioning. I think it's valid. I think the fact that he brought up these concerns prior to this incident is important. I would like to see, Paul, I would like to see when a supervisor asks a question connected to this one deputy that like Sal's talking about, we should get an answer back. There should be some kind of response there. And so I do agree with the line of reasoning. the questioning from Supervisor Quintero. I also agree with Supervisor Magzig that unfortunately, we still have operations happening on that campus, and we have to provide a way for making those continue. So I'm going to regrettably support this today. It's unfortunate this incident happened in December.
Yes, CAO.
A couple quick comments. And Robert, my understanding is our deductible with our insurance is about $100,000 with the condition that we have 24/7 security. So I understand we're in the works of having, because of our own staffing, using an outside agency to get 24/7 security if we need. Is that correct?
Correct. I believe we're signing that contract today.
Okay, so I just want to assure the board that that's happening. On the copper theft piece, I know there was work on, we've had other issues when it comes to that, to close the loop to make sure that that's reported back. So thank you.
All right, seeing no further questions from board members, anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, entertain a motion for approval.
I'll motion for approval.
We have a motion, is there a second? Second. We have a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
4-1, it passes.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that concludes all our consent items. We now return to your regular scheduled agenda. Under the Board of Supervisors, number 4, approve the chairman's 2024 appointments of board members to various commissions and committees. Adopt California Form 806 Agency Report of Public Official Appointments, and direct the clerk of the board to post the county's internet website. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, each year the board formally approves their committee assignments. If your board wishes to make any changes to the assignments list as presented, they may do so at this time.
Any members wishing to make modifications, changes to what's before us? Seeing none, anyone in the public wishing to comment on these assignments? Hearing none, I'll close the public portion and entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
We now move to item number 5. Under County Clerk Register of Voters, receive verbal presentation by the Fresno County Clerk Register of Voters regarding the special vacancy election in Congressional District 20.
Good morning, Chairman Magzig and members of the board. I'm James A. Coos, your County Clerk Registrar of Voters, and I'm here this morning to discuss the recently called Congressional District 20 special vacancy elections. Copy of the presentation is available at the back of the room and is being passed out right now. Congressman McCarthy officially resigned from office on December 31st of 2023, creating a vacancy that must be filled by a special election per California Election Code Section 10700. Yesterday, January 8th, 2024, Governor Newsom called for a special vacancy election to be held, setting the date for the special primary election for March 19th, 2024, and the special general election, if needed, for May 21st, 2024. While consolidation of the special election with the currently ongoing presidential primary election was discussed when Congressman McCarthy first revealed his intention to resign in early December, the schedule required under the election code to fill a congressional vacancy made it highly impractical and likely to cause significant, potentially illegal delays in distribution of a consolidated ballot for the March 5th, 2024 election. The special primary election officially began yesterday with potential candidates able to take out paperwork for signatures in lieu of filing fees. Candidate and nomination documents will be available next Friday, January 19th, and will remain open until 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 25th. I should note that these two dates were updated following the release of the formal schedule yesterday by the Secretary of State from my original presentation attached to the board item. We will rapidly move forward to distribution of military and overseas ballots by February 3rd, and mailing of vote-by-mail ballots will be on February 19th. Vote centers will open for in-person voting on March 9th, 4 days after the close of our presidential primary vote centers. A total of 4 vote centers plus our downtown elections office will be open for in-person voting during the special primary election. The special primary election is scheduled to be completed and certified on Thursday, March 28th, 1 day before we currently plan to certify the completion of the presidential primary election. We will hold all activities for the special primary election before we finish the presidential primary election. If a candidate receives a majority of votes during the special primary election, they will be declared the winner and will fill the vacant seat as early as the end of March. If no one gets a majority in the special primary, we will then move directly into preparations for the special general election on May 21st. We begin with 63 days between election dates, but lose 9 days to the special primary canvass activities. We will be officially notified of which 2 candidates move forward to the special general in late March and have roughly a week to get ballots ready for distribution to our military and overseas voters. Vote-by-mail ballots will go out on April 22nd, and vote centers will be available beginning on May 11th. We anticipate certifying the special general election results by June 5th, but Congress may be willing to swear in a clear winner much closer to Election Day, maybe as early as the Memorial Day holiday weekend. They do not need to wait for us to certify the results. This will make for a busy couple of months. We are positioned to successfully execute both primary elections and the special general election if it is needed. The shifted timing of the special primary election allows us to complete all ballot preparations for the presidential primary election prior to beginning the ballot for the special primary. The same is true for most of our in-person voting, which will close for the presidential primary and will move to our post-election activities before the in-person locations open for the special primary election. There will be a period during our post-election canvass where we will be working both primary elections simultaneously. But we will bring in an experienced supervisor for the special primary election to oversee the 1% manual tally and canvass, letting our regular staff focus on the presidential primary post-election process. Should the special general election in May be necessary, the department will be able to wholly focus on the special election, and all special general election activities will end before regular activities for the November 5th, 2024 presidential general election will begin. While the department believes that we are well situated to process and conduct the special vacancy elections with minimal impact to the presidential primary, we recognize that having 2 elections so close together will inevitably cause confusion for some voters. A quarter of active registered voters in Fresno County will be affected by the special elections. For these voters, we'll be sending out specialized direct mailers in early February, preparing them for the arrival of special primary election ballots. Those ballots will be significantly different from the presidential primary ballot. They'll be roughly half the size and a unique color. We will use special envelopes for delivery and return of the special primary election ballots, and we are working on physically linking those envelopes to the ballots with color and artwork. We will be highlighting these connections in our instructions to voters, direct mailings, and PSAs we plan to put out in February. Lastly, I should note that our in-person options will be as separated as possible to avoid any possibility of crossover between elections. Special elections are not a new occurrence in Fresno County. We've even had 2 elections just a week apart within the last few years. We are ready and able to complete the tasks placed before us and deliver the best possible election process to the voters of Fresno County. I would be happy to take any questions from the board at this time about these special elections and the currently ongoing presidential primary election. Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes, buddy.
What's the cost of Fresno County for this special election?
It
Just
is
at least
our
the first
estimate
one.
that the special primary election will cost about between $250,000 and $300,000. And if it's required, the special general election will cost about $300,000. We receive a little bit of savings because we already have election activities going on, staff are on hand, but yeah. And these are unfortunately net county costs.
Yeah,
As the chairman has mentioned earlier, there's some budget difficulties at the state, and we don't really expect any money from them.
yeah, with no insurance. The other one had insurance. There's no insurance for this.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Any other comments, questions from members?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Supervisor Brando.
James, I appreciate the role you're playing. That's got to be really tough. I know you're going to get it done, and you, as you mentioned, we've done it in the last 2 years, had back-to-back elections like that. I have a couple of questions. The first one is, what is Fresno County doing to let the constituents know the things that you just shared with us?
So we're beginning a process of putting out PSAs along with our required direct mailings. We're putting out a PSA just in the next day here for our presidential primary election, and working with the county PIO, we're going to be putting out PSAs specific to these special elections as well, so that those who are receiving a second ballot know ahead of time that that's the right thing. They're supposed to be getting these ballots. And how do they handle those ballots so that their ballot will be counted properly? So we'll be doing outreach directly to those voters. We'll be putting information, it's already starting to go up on our website right now. We're focusing on candidates for the next couple of weeks, but we'll be doing information for voters to really highlight how we're getting that information out there, social media. We'll try and take advantage of all the avenues available to us.
Okay, remind me, how many of our Fresno County constituents will be voting in this special election?
For the special elections, we have, at this moment, today, just a hair under 125,000 active registered voters in Congressional District 20. We do have a new report of registration that we'll be doing this week, and so that number will change a little bit.
Okay. Inside of this election, there was a court ruling that allowed a candidate to run. That has been appealed. My understanding that decision's been appealed. How will that impact, when do these ballots actually get printed to know which candidates will be included?
So we have two different sets of ballots that we are working with right now. The presidential primary ballot is going through its final proofing process, and those are going to start the printing process, we hope, by the end of this week. It's my understanding that the appeal process is just getting started, and so we're going to go to print well before any appeal process can complete for the presidential primary election. The special elections are by law a completely separate process, and that appeals, it doesn't link or doesn't affect that ballot. That ballot will go to printing probably on February 1st or 2nd. As I mentioned, we have to put out our military ballot on February 3rd, Saturday, February 3rd. And we actually only get the certified list from the state a few days before that. But because the two elections are separated, the special primary election is a, relatively speaking, simple ballot. It's going to be 8 by 11, one contest. There may be many candidates. We have to see who turns out. But that is compared to the presidential primary, which has 3,010 versions of the ballot for us to verify. We're only going to have a handful of artwork and one contest and a limited number of candidates. We can turn that around a lot faster than the weeks we need to spend preparing for that presidential primary ballot. So they're going to actually work out we're going to be very kind of lockstep, able to move experienced staff from one process to the next without having too much crossover. A little lucky there for us.
Well, I appreciate it. Again, I'm glad you're up to the task. I feel sorry for the voters who There's going to be some confusion out there despite
Absolutely.
the PSAs and all the attempts to get the public up to speed. So hopefully some of our media partners can also help us get that message out. So, I appreciate your confidence and
Yeah, from a voter's perspective, I would have loved for this special election to have been in April to actually give us some real separation there. But it's just, election code just doesn't give us, we have to work off of when the vacancy occurs, and our choices are fairly limited.
thank you.
Mr. Coos, I want to thank you for your presentation, and I think that's a good point that we need to reinforce. The special election has no bearing on the appeal, or the appeal has no bearing on the special election, because that's a whole separate matter. And if I understood your presentation right, is it an accurate statement to say that the special election could not have appeared on the regular presidential primary election? Was that not a possibility?
It was not a feasible. We need to send out next Saturday, the 20th, our ballots for the presidential primary to our military and overseas voters. It takes us 2 to 3 weeks for a complex election like the presidential primary to create the ballots, proof them, make sure that there are 0 errors on those ballots, and then get them printed in time to distribute them, as we are federally required to meet that deadline on January 20th. We won't receive the actual, if these 2 elections had been together, we wouldn't receive the certified list from the state, who is responsible for all candidates in state level elections like the U.S. Senate, congressional races like our special election here, and assembly. The state designates who is a qualified candidate in appearing on the ballot until just a few days. It would be next Tuesday if they were combined. So we would have 4 days to do 3 weeks worth of work to meet our federal deadlines.
It
Could
just
they be-
seems, I
could they be
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it just seems like from a regular, average, tax-paying person, we could have saved $250,000 had they appeared on the same ballot.
Right.
So I understand that, you're gonna do 3 weeks of work in 4 days. Not insurmountable, but it could have been done for a cost savings of just this county alone of $250,000. It seems like at some point, maybe that should have been done. But irregardless, you're going to have confusion either way. I do like your special election in April to completely remove them, because had they appeared on the same ballot, maybe there is some confusion that the same office is appearing twice, although I'm sure it could have been designated. One's a short term and one is the full term, for some sort of clarification that maybe the voters would have understood. So irregardless, it's confusing. It's unfortunate that it happened when you don't fulfill your full terms. But these are the cards we're dealt. It's unfortunate, again, that the taxpayers of Fresno County, this will cost us $250,000 that we are not, in all likelihood, going to get reimbursed for.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to be getting, probably won't be getting. I don't think we could have ever saved $250,000 because we would have been behind deadlines with our contracts. We would have actually lost some savings that we get right now for paying ahead of time with some of our vendors. And while it's possible for my staff for me to up staff to meet certain demands that would be placed on us in that 4 day, there's a back and forth that occurs between multiple vendors to print a ballot that would not be feasible during that. And so we would end up in the crosshairs of the Justice Department for failing to meet that UOCAVA deadline.
Like my colleague, I was a bit surprised this district stretches from Kern County clear into Fresno County, that throughout that whole stretch, we still have 125,000 registered voters in this race. I thought our portion of that would have been a lot less, but at least now the 125,000 are going to get their money's worth, so.
Yeah, it's an interestingly shaped district, and we represent 28% of the district in Fresno County, and do have several candidates from the local area as well as candidates from Kern and Tulare County that we expect to vie for the special election.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Fresno County, while we represent 28% of the population, if you look at the voters, the people who are of voting age, it's significantly higher as far as the percentage goes. So a couple of things, just looking at overlap. You could not have declared consolidating this election with the March 5th until you knew when the special election or until the governor declared a vacancy and for a special election to take place, correct?
Correct. So the governor is responsible for calling a special vacancy election, and he has a set period of time to make that 14 days after the vacancy occurs. So that's why I did mention earlier that the vacancy actually occurred on December 31st, even though the congressman had announced significantly before that point that he was planning to resign. It wasn't until we got to the December 31st that any official activities could actually begin.
And the governor has, I think, 2 weeks after that vacancy is announced to say that there is a vacancy and we're going to have an election moving forward. So I appreciate your work. I know the last month, you, as well as your colleagues in those 3 other counties, have been, I'm sure, talking to one another, working hard, talking to Sacramento, and making sure that the powers that be in Sacramento worked with you so we can have as seamless a process as possible. One other question, which I know a lot of people are asking, and there's been a lot of confusion about, as far as presidential candidates are concerned, former President Trump is being disallowed in some states from being on the ballot, and a lot of that's being litigated. For us in Fresno County, is former President Trump going to be on voters' ballots as they receive them for the March 5th primary?
Yes, sir. So we receive, as I mentioned, the certified list of all state level, and that includes presidential candidates from the Secretary of State. And President Trump was on that list, and we are currently printing. Now, we do have to follow the directions of a court if we do receive that, but we are moving forward with our election right now. And as I mentioned, we're going to print with our ballots with President Trump on our Republican ballots.
Excellent. Yes, Supervisor Mendez.
Just got a theoretical question. Okay, the governor had 14 days to declare. Now, if he would have on the first day declared a date, would it made the window to have it on the regular primary ballot?
Yes, sir, it would, actually, for the first couple of days. It was
that
actually,
needs to be
it was
out there.
absolutely a possibility.
So
that was
theoretically, the governor we have 2 people that caused it. We have the congressman for leaving in midterm and the governor for not immediately declaring it, so it would fit in the window.
Yes,
Okay.
but I should say there, first, as the chairman mentioned, I am very appreciative of the Secretary of State's office who reached out directly to all 4 counties to ask us what we viewed as the positive and negatives of all of the potential dates where this could have landed, and then pass that information on to the governor. There are positive and negatives for all of the potential dates. That kind of said, we could have theoretically gone out, but there's rules kind of built in, so we ended up with really only 2 dates that could have occurred, the 5th and then what we ended up with the 19th, just because of.
Right. And then you go back to the confusion factor.
Yeah, and.
Put it on the primary ballot.
Yeah, it really would have been a true challenge for us to have achieved that.
Yeah.
Realistically, it would have been likely that we would have ended up with 2 separate ballots, that we would have had the primary ballot and we would have still provided a second ballot to the congressional district, which obviously would have been even more confusing than kind of having this separated. So the ballot situation was going to end up being a no-win for us, almost no matter what happened here.
Okay. But theoretically, what I said is actually correct. Okay.
To our media partners, I do have an ask, and that would be, you can see just how complicated this primary election cycle is going to be with a special election and the March 5th primary. So to the extent that the County of Fresno can work with you to get the message out using print media, television, radio, let's partner together to make that happen. But James, I want to thank you for having the foresight to put this item on the agenda today, because you would not have been able to give us the information any sooner, because the governor just declared yesterday what's taking place, and we're not going to have another board meeting till the end of January. So I really appreciate your office thinking ahead and making sure that this was on the agenda. So really appreciate you being here. Any other comments before we move on to the next item? This is just informational item, no action on it. So with that, we will move on to the next item.
Item number 6, under the Sheriff, Coroner, Public Administrator, approve and authorize the chairman to execute a third amendment to License D-21-021 between the Sheriff's Office and the Sheriff's Foundation for Public Safety.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Steve McComas, Under Sheriff, Fresno County Sheriff's Office. The item before your board this morning is the third amendment between the Sheriff's Foundation for Public Safety and the Fresno County Sheriff's Office for use of the range to use while training over 1,000 of the sheriff's employees. The original agreement was approved in December of 2020. We had two amendments, one in April of 23 and one in October of 23. In August of 23, the Sheriff's Foundation for Public Safety notified the Sheriff's Office administration that the insurance requirements needed to be modified, as the third-party carrier would no longer renew liability for the operation of the range. The amendment addressed this issue for the last 90-day period, required the County of Fresno to incur additional liability. The 90-day period will expire tomorrow, and the third amendment is required to continue the use of the range for the Sheriff's Office to have firearms training out there. This amendment is for a 24-month period, and there is an increase in cost that will be offset using additional revenues earned during the Modular 1 Academy, which is overseen and taught by the Sheriff's Office training in it. Fresno City College subvention funds are those funds that we receive to offset the costs. All other law enforcement agencies that use the range will be required to meet the same insurance requirements to use the range and other facilities on the property. They've been notified of such. The foundation will oversee and approve those vendors and make sure they have the proper insurance requirements. I'm available for any questions.
Questions for Mr. McComas? Yes.
Real quick, thank you, Under Sheriff McComas. Question, what is the update on the new range?
I got a short update. I think they're gonna start, they're taking out the debris, metal and everything. They're cleaning up the current, you're talking about at the Elkhorn
Yes.
Range? Yeah, they're doing some cleanup right now. They're starting on that. And I was told they're gonna start doing some of the earth moving in short order. So we're moving on that project. It's not gonna be done immediately.
No, and that's why we need this agreement.
That's correct.
But do we have a kind of a target?
Don't have the target date.
Okay.
I don't know, there might be, I think the ISD director left. We're hoping that it's done within this 2-year timeframe.
Okay.
That's absolutely. And I think the purpose is to move that, start moving the earth so we can start building the ranges. And then all the other things that are gonna go on that property will come later. But I think the ranges are gonna be one of the first things that we're gonna move on that.
All right.
Supervisor Brandon, just to add clarity to that, in addition to that, talking to Stephen White, our Public Works Director, there's a conditional use permit piece of this that's in process now that's going to be going to the Planning Commission by early spring of this year. So that's part of this, and there's two projects on this. There's the range and also the building up of the berms. That's an ARPA project, and so the goal is to get that complete in the time that we're extending this lease. But that work is literally happening as we speak.
Yeah, that's what I was interested in.
Yeah,
So,
going with that, it's a pretty simple, it's a pretty simple deal to move the dirt. It's not a very long haul. So once we get through the conditional use permit and get started, it's gonna be quick.
That's what we hope.
I'm just speaking as a farmer, not
Yes, sir.
a board of supervisors.
Any other comments from board members? Anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, bring it back to the board for appropriate action.
motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries unanimously.
Thanks, sir.
We now move to item number 7. Under the Administrative Office, consider and take action on request for determination of public convenience or necessity in regard to application for alcohol beverage license type 20.
Morning, Chairman, Supervisors, Ron Alexander with the Administrative Office. As the clerk announced, that this is an application for a Type 20 ABC license, which is an off-sale beer and wine license that authorizes the sale of beer and wine off the premises where sold. Management directive, county policy regarding this lists 3 criteria to make the determination of public convenience or necessity, which states that it will not tend to create a law enforcement problem, it will provide a needed service to the community, and that it will have a positive impact on the local economy. The applicant provided a written response to those criteria, and he is here for questions should those arise. The Public Works was contacted, and there are no zoning issues regarding this application, and the Sheriff's Department has been contacted and reviewed this application as well. The applicant is in Census Tract 74. There are 2 licenses that are allowed by ABC. There are currently 4 within this census tract. Given this overconcentration of licenses in that census tract, ABC has sent the application to you for your approval. This is a map of the census tract 74. Located here is the applicant with the star, and you can see there's a few current licenses within that location. The other is on the other side of the census tract. And this is just a list of the 4 existing licenses and their proximity to the applicant. Here is an aerial view of the applicant's location. We've got the Dollar General here, as well as a gas station here that is the closest to the applicant. And we have a view of the applicant's storefront. We got the north view, south view, east view, as well as a west view for your purview. And again, here are the 3 criteria for you to make the determination of public convenience or necessity. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here for questions should they arise.
Any questions for staff?
No, I want to hear public comment if there's there.
All right, I'll open up to the public. Is there anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item? We'll probably need to hear from the applicant, if the applicant is here on this item.
How you doing, Anders?
Very nice to meet you.
I appreciate you. Any question, I'm ready for it.
So looking at those 3 items, if you can talk a little bit about how this creates public convenience or necessity, if you can share a little bit about your operation, I think that would be helpful. And
Okay.
Supervisor Mendez may have a few
Okay,
comments.
is that town, it doesn't have no supermarket, and this is gonna be the biggest supermarket in that town, and it's gonna have like all the stuff the people they need right there, and plus alcohol is gonna be with it. So it's a supermarket, it's not like a little convenience stores. And it's gonna get more jobs, and it's gonna be a supermarket, so it's not gonna be like a lot of people go right there, get drink and go like make accident or do something. It's gonna be like one shop, and it's gonna be more taxable and create more jobs. That's all.
Just looking at the maps, one of them's actually on the end of the census tract. And when you get into rural census tracts, you can be 10 miles away. This one happens to be 6 miles away. So census tracts work great when you get closer to the urban areas. When you get into the rural areas, the census tract method of how this deal's set up is almost irrelevant. So I don't have a problem with it.
And thank you for being here and sharing with us how you can make those 3 findings. So thank you for demonstrating that today. Do you have any other comments, or is there anyone else in the public wishing to comment on this item? All right, thank you for being here. Seeing no further public comment, I'll close the public portion and bring it back to.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
We We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We now move to item number 8, under the Board of Supervisors Committee reports and comments.
Supervisor Brandow.
None, sir.
Supervisor Mendez. Very good. Supervisor Quintero.
Just wanted to make comment for the CAO and for Sonja. Gotten a couple of emails regarding article that came out yesterday in the local media regarding the YARTS funding. That of course it's going to be cut out, and I know last year I had met with our COG director regarding why funding wasn't being brought forward with helping, and it just seems like some cities help, some don't, and it's just, and of course ridership has gone down since the pandemic, and so I mean it's a great asset that we have in our national parks close by, and especially for folks coming in from outside of the country or out of state to come and visit. And I mean, I don't understand how that works as far as a committee or how the funding is provided. But COG said, well, they just stopped funding it because there wasn't any ridership that was being done. I know some of the bicycle clubs had contacted me with regard that they utilize it. I don't know how often, but they store their bikes underneath the bus where all the luggage goes, and then they ride back to Fresno. So that's one of the things that they do. But I just don't. I mean, can we get some kind of a report on that, or any comments on that? And I just don't know how it works.
Sure, Supervisor Quintero, yes. My understanding is the same as yours, that it was a question of the viability going forward and those willing to fund it. But I can come back to your board with a more full report and recommendation. Happy to do that.
Yeah, because I know the pandemic just put a halt to everything, and resources were put forward to other really important needs to deal with the pandemic. I know we had it for providing housing for the homeless, the new kitchen for the ARPA monies we used for Poverello and helping those out. So it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of got stuck with that.
I'll come back with a fuller report recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of items. Had the pleasure of meeting with members of the Central Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce on December 21st. We discussed a couple of projects they're working on, and really appreciate that organization and all that they do. They have a CDFI that they're working with, and I look forward, I committed to them that we would work together in 2024 as well. And I know our Board of Supervisors has helped to support them in 2023. So to the extent we can find organizations like the Central California Hispanic Chamber and then partner, I think that is very beneficial for Fresno County. Also, too, looking forward to serving as your chairman, and very excited about just the beauty of Fresno County, not only the people, but just the places that we have to offer up. So really appreciate having the opportunity to be the chairman this year. With that, we'll move on to the next item.
Item number 9, board appointments.
Supervisor Brandow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have a number of appointments today. 3 of them are reappointments. I'd like to reappoint Robin Coburn to the Fresno Mosquito Vector Control District, Scott Bailey to the Law Library Board, Teddy Torian to the Treasury Oversight Committee, and then I have one new appointment, and that is Susan Good to the FMAAA Governing Board, the seat vacated by Ed Hokakian.
Very good. Supervisor Mendez? Supervisor Quintero? And I have one to the Fresno County Fire Protection District, appoint Dan Mather, our very own, to the District 5 seat, which expired on 9/30 of 2023. And this position was previously held by John Furr, who had to step away. I think he might be moving out of the area. That's all I have.
Is he in District 5?
He is in District 5.
You know, that deal is a little over, there's more District 5 people in that deal than there is District 4, and the majority of the area they cover is in District 4. So if you can, I'd rather you hold that one and we could talk about it.
Sure. I'm open to that. That's not a
Which I
problem.
don't have a problem with Dan doing it,
Okay.
yeah.
So would you like me to hold off on having Dan in that position, or what would you like to do?
Well, I'd like you to hold off one meeting.
You got it. Then I will pull my recommendation for that District 5 seat, and we will stick with the others unless there's any other comments.
Okay.
Anyone in the public wishing to comment on the appointments? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, bring it back for a motion.
I'd move for approval on the appointments.
All right, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We now move to item number 10, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on this agenda.
Yes, sir. It's a good one.
Comments on certain topics are limited to 15 minutes, so please feel free to step forward, state your name, and the floor is yours.
My name is Sonia Krantz, and I'm a personal caregiver with SEIU and IHSS. We're here to comment on our wages. We've been given minimum wage plus 60 cents at $16.60 an hour. Obviously, for Fresno, California, that's not a living wage. We caregivers are dependent on, as you can well imagine, for those who are elderly or disabled and need someone. It's not making hamburgers, it's caring of lives. And we come with a set of skills that we either work to learn or have come from another, like nursing, into it. But we come with skills and passion that are unique and for a reason. I personally about four years ago or so, I was able to make all my bills and take care of my family. I'm a widow, and no savings, but I lived month to month and bought my groceries and everything. And now I went in this last year to having to use my credit cards, multiple, to pay for groceries and gas, and now my credit cards are maxed out, plus the burden of having to make those payments too. And so I'm going to the food pantries and dependent on whatever I can get, and I really don't know by the middle of each month how I'm going to get to the end of the month. And so I'm just here to say this is critical, that we get a living wage and not pennies, nickels, quarters of increase, but rather we need $20 an hour. Just, this is California, and so please consider that very seriously. Thank you.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi nombre es Apolonia Valencia.
My name is Apolonia Valencia.
Ya
Son 7 años, 8 los que tengo
It's
aquí
been 7, 8
luchando.
years that I've been here fighting.
Entré el año completamente triste.
I started the
porque
year
éramos
completely sad.
Fuera del presupuesto
We were out of
en
budget
nuestra lucha del año pasado.
in our fight from last year.
Estamos empezando.
We are
otra vez
starting
con la lucha.
again with the fight.
No quiero ser repetitiva lo que mi compañera les dijo.
I don't want to
es verdad.
repeat what
Estamos
my
viviendo una
fellow
una
member
vida
said. We're living a life
demasiado triste.
that is very sad
Porque el dinero que nos pagan
because the money that we're paid,
no es suficiente.
it's not enough.
Mi esposo está aún más enfermo
My husband, he's
ya
even
no
he's
duermo.
even sicker. I don't sleep anymore,
y no tenemos soluciones.
and we don't have solutions.
Mucha gente de mis compañeros no vienen porque
Many
no
of my
tienen
fellow
dinero
members,
para
they
el
don't
gas.
come because they don't have money for gas.
Otra cosa que me da mucha tristeza
Another thing that
es que
saddens
no nos
me
están
deeply
escuchando, no
is
nos
that
están
we're
dando
not being listened
prioridad.
to, we're not being
Tenemos
given
muchos
priority.
años aquí
We have many years that we've been
luchando
here
por
fighting
tener un lugar aquí.
to have a spot,
Y nos están negando, no nos
and
quieren
we're
dar
being denied.
aseguranza,
They
no
don't want to
nos
give us
quieren quitar la
insurance.
aseguranza.
They want to take away our insurance.
Y estoy en shock porque vi la
And I'm shocked
televisión, las
because I
noticias,
saw television,
y
the
les
news,
dieron medical
and they
a
gave them
gente
Medi-Cal.
que
to
si llega hoy y
people
va al medical
who-
a la oficina del
And,
medical,
and in the
a
same
los-
way
a
to the
solicitar
Medi-Cal office
se lo
that
dan
went to
inmediatamente,
ask for Medi-Cal, they give it
aunque
to
no
them
tenga-
immediately,
aunque no tengan
even though
documentos.
they don't have
¿Por qué
documentation.
están pensando en gente?
Why are they thinking about
Están
people?
ayudando a gente,
They're
le
helping
están dando
people.
importancia a
They're
gente
giving
que no
importance to
siquiera han
people
luchado
who
uno
haven't
o
even
2 años
fought
aquí en
1
este-
or 2
en este
years
país.
in this
Cuando
country.
nosotros hemos dado
When
nuestra
we
vida,
have given our
hemos
lives,
pagado taxes,
we've paid taxes.
hemos
We
hecho de
have,
todo.
we
¿Por
have,
qué? ¿Por
we
qué?
have done
¿Por qué
everything.
nos están negando el medical?
Why are they denying
¿Por qué nos
Medi-Cal
están
to
negando
us?
la aseguranza?
Why are we
¿Por qué
being
nos
denied
están
insurance?
diciendo
Why are they
que
telling us
o aumento de sueldo
it's
o
either a
aseguranza?
wage increase or insurance?
¿Creen ustedes que podrían vivir sin aseguranza?
Do you believe that you could live without insurance?
Sí, señor, sí podría vivir sin
Yes, sir, you
aseguranza.
could live without insurance.
No se puede.
It can't be done.
Por favor, piensen en nosotros.
Please think about us.
Queremos que nos tengan en sus como en la oración
We
que
want you
dijeron
to
en la
keep
mañana,
us
se fue
like in
tan
the prayer that
bonito,
was said in the
tan
morning. It was
humanitaria,
very
tan de
beautiful. It
todo,
was so humanitarian. It was everything.
y no reza con nosotros. No
And
reza con
you don't
nosotros
pray
porque
with us. You
nosotros
don't pray with
nos
us
están
because
ignorando.
we're being ignored.
En el primer contrato que tuvimos
In the
el
first
anterior,
contract that we
fueron
had, the past one, there
9
was
años
nine
para que nos
years
dieran 60
to be
centavos.
given 60 cents.
Por favor, ahorita no nos
Please,
dejen.
not right
no,
now.
no queremos vivir así. No es
We don't want to
justo,
live like
señores.
this. It's not
Por
fair,
favor,
gentlemen.
tómenlo en cuenta.
Please
Pongan
keep
su
that in
mano
mind.
sobre el corazón
Put your
y
hand
piensen que
over your
nosotros
heart
cuidamos vidas,
and think
hacemos
that
de
we're taking
todo.
care of lives.
Somos
We do
enfermeras,
everything.
somos
We're
lavanderas,
nurses.
cocineras,
We do washing.
de todo.
We cook. We do
Es justo
everything.
que se nos tome en cuenta y que nos
It's fair
nos
to
den
be
lo que
kept
les
in
estamos
mind
pidiendo.
and to be given.
Muchas gracias. Que Dios los
Thank you very
bendiga.
much. God bless you.
Y señor Brandon,
And
hoy tenemos una
Sir
junta
Brando,
de políticos.
today
Esperamos verlo
we
ahí
have a
en
meeting.
nuestra oficina.
We expect to see you
para
there in our office
nosotros decirle nuestras necesidades.
to be able to tell you our needs.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing us to be here to speak. I know you've seen me here a couple meetings. This is my third. And like I've told you before, I have had 16 years of experience as a caregiver. And I came from Washington State. I was born and raised here and moved to Washington State. And I was a caregiver there. And they paid us $15 an hour. And, you know, being here in California, it is so much more expensive here. And this is why we're asking for $20 an hour, because $15, $16, whatever, you know, I know we're making $16.60 an hour right now, but it is not easy for those caregivers out there like me and others to be able to make ends meet. I'm a lucky one because I, you know, came out of retirement to take care of a family member. But, you know, my coworkers here, they're young. They need that $20 an hour. I'm here asking on behalf of all of them to bring up wage to $20 an hour for us. And taking away their care, their health care, that's not right. You know, I mean, how would you guys feel if you lost your insurance? That is one thing that we really need, is the insurance. I have Medicare, which I'm lucky for, and I do have Kaiser, which I'm lucky for. But they don't have a backup system like I do. I'm going to be 70 in April, and I love what I do. I'm lucky to be able to keep working and taking care of my family member. But, you know, these people are out there working 3-4 jobs, hoping to be able to make ends meet. So my ask is for you to think about us and to think about, you know, our livelihood, how we're going to make ends meet day after day. You just heard that young lady speak, and it is very, very difficult. So God bless you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. And I do ask that you do read the book that I gave you that was written by all the caregivers last month, and to really take it to heart and really think about that. Have a great day.
Hello, good morning. This is my first time here. I felt it was really important for me to get up and come and speak also, because we really need our health care, as the ladies before spoke. I just found out I was a diabetic. If I didn't have insurance, the medication alone would just kill me. My rent goes up every month. I'm in the process of trying to purchase a home. I cater, I work for 2 clients, I have a hair salon. I do 4 different jobs in order to make ends meet. $16.60 does not get it. Just imagine if you guys were paid $16.60. Could you afford to pay your mortgage? Could you afford to buy a house? Could you afford to feed your children? Luckily, my kids are out of the home, and I'm alone, but I still have to work 4 jobs in order to make ends meet. I think that we really deserve the raise. Our job is not easy. It's tough taking care of the individuals. We give a lot. And I just think that we should be considered the increase. Fast food workers are getting $20 an hour, and most of them are young people. They're not, you know, older like me, who, you know, I have a house payment, I have car notes, insurance. Some of them do, but most of them are young people, if you understand what I'm trying to say. They're getting $20 an hour, and we should get $20 an hour also, or some type of raise. We deserve it. And I appreciate you guys listening to me, and thank you, and that's.
Hi, my name is Matilda Garcia, and I'm a retired disabled recipient of IHSS. And I'm here to speak on behalf of SEIU, because I think they also deserve a raise because the much work they do for us. And also because my mother just recently passed away because of the IHSS not going by protocol to have another provider there take place of the other provider that got sick also. And because of that, she was by herself for 2 weeks without food and medicine and water. Anything. She didn't have nothing for 2 weeks, and she was in her own feces and urine for those 2 weeks. And because there was not enough providers to cover her regular provider's shift, she passed away. I found the one that found her, and 3 days later she passed away. But I think it's very important that you do try to give them the $20 raise, because we really need them, because it's our lives that we depend on them to help us in every way that they can take care of us the way that we need them to. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer.
First of all, I hope you guys had a happy new year and a good Christmas. I'm going to make mine short and brief. So I am an IHSS worker. I take care of non-family members too. It's not easy at all. But I believe that our program, IHSS itself, is very valuable to the city of Fresno, the whole valley. We take care of our most vulnerable. And like I said, I'm not taking care of family members. These are people who have no family and need support. That's what I'm here for. That's what the people as providers on IHSS are here for, is to provide help, to provide assistance, and it's just not enough. So we ask that you please consider us. It's very, very crucial to our lives. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Cheryl. I believe some of you may know me. I've spoken here 2 or 3 times. First of all, Chairman Magsig and the other chairman, supervisors and chairman, I would like to wish you a warm and peaceful blessings in the new year. That's my greatest wish for everyone today. Let's try something a little different today, maybe a shift in vantage point. Imagine for a moment that we discover points that we can agree on in the IHSS program and then move from there in our negotiations. I think it may be a positive approach. And that's basically what I wanted to introduce today. I don't want to bore you with my disability story. I'm a recipient. I am not a provider. I am a recipient, and I am dependent on Jennifer's care. And I find the program has been extraordinarily beneficial to me. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Elvira de la Cruz.
Good morning, my name is Elvira de la Cruz.
Es mi primera vez de estar aquí.
This is my first time that I'm
Tengo
here.
20 años
I
trabajando
have been
como proveedora,
working for
cuidando
20
gente
years as a
adulta
provider,
y
taking
gente
care of
enferma.
adult
Más que
persons
sus
and
enfermedades,
children, more than their diseases.
lo mental es una enfermedad bien
The
grande y
mental
difícil
aspect is a
para
very
nosotros
difficult part of it
poder
for
ayudarlos.
us to be able to help them.
Lo único que yo quiero decirles,
The only thing that I would like to tell
tengo un
you,
hijo que es policía,
I have a son
tengo
who's
un
a
hijo que
policeman.
trabaja para
I
edificios
have a son
federales
who works for federal
y de
buildings.
3 años para acá me ha
And
sido una situación
From
bien
3 years
difícil.
ago on, I've had a very difficult time.
Tengo 2 menores en casa
I have 2
todavía
minors at home.
y yo lo único que quiero
And
es que se nos
the only
otorgue
thing that I
$20
would like is
la
to
hora,
be
por
given
favor.
$20 an hour,
No es
please.
justo que ahorita yo
It is not
dependa ya
fair
ahora del
that right now
gobierno
I have to depend on the
pidiendo
government
comida,
to ask for food,
pidiendo el medical,
to ask for Medi-Cal,
porque ganando el mínimo yo no
because
puedo pagar
making
una
minimum,
aseguranza
I can't
médica.
pay for medical insurance.
Yo lo único que quiero es
The
apoyar
only
a
thing
mis
I want
compañeras
is to be able to support,
y si por primera vez se nos otorga
and
$20 la hora,
if for the first time
que
we may be granted
considero
$20 an
que
hour,
es un sueldo
which I
justo
consider to be a
para
fair wage
nosotras como
for
proveedoras
us
del hogar.
as home providers.
Que Dios los cuide y que Dios los bendiga.
God take
Muchas
care of you,
gracias.
God bless you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And I know that we've gone over our time, but since I see there are 3 more speakers, I'm going to allow 3 more minutes. So one speaker can take all 3, or you can do a minute each. It's your choice, but there's going to be 3 more minutes on this, and that'll be it.
Hi, I'm Olga Valle, and I know you know me. Happy New Year to each one of you. I see the signs out. We're getting ready for elections, and it breaks my heart to know that some of you haven't listened to us, and we haven't taken action. But I'm talking on the economics, which I think is the most important in our health insurance. I think, I don't know if you understand that a lot of the providers have health issues, and we really need that. Not only 2,000 of us, but that criteria was set with you guys. So we would like for you to open it up to who needs it, because we can only earn about 1,600, so we don't qualify for Medi-Cal. The cost, when we do share a cost, is way too much. And Medi-Cal makes you wait even longer for the services. If you go in for colonoscopy or something serious, they have you wait like 6 months. So we're asking you to please look at that. I know you talk economics and you're looking at that, but we're bringing in more money. Instead of the person staying home and being a recipient, we have some people who would qualify as recipients, being the provider. And that's all I wanted to say. Happy New Year, and we've hit the road running, and good to see you. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Jim. My girlfriend's handicapped and disabled. She does find out she has rheumatoid arthritis. And I take care of her day and night. I only get like 4 or 5 hours a day, according to the way they go ahead and do it. But basically, when it boils down to how much I take care of her day and night, it ends up being less than minimum wage. The least I could go ahead and need is to have health care. And most of the people do need an increase. I know that 20 is too much, but wherever, as long as we're staying above minimum wage, because rather than being president, everything's going higher and higher, and we need to get some kind of a raise. So would you please don't get rid of our health care? I need it desperately. Thank you. God bless.
Hello, my name is Alicia Garcia, and I'm also here to please asking for the $20 an hour, please, because I'm taking care of my husband. He's bedridden, and I'm only getting 140 hours a month, and it's 24/7. And I had to move in with my grandson so I can be rent-free, because I can't afford to pay for a home, and my grandson provided us a home, so we're staying with him. And I hope that you find it in your heart to help us, and I really appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. With that, I'm going to close the portion on this, and we're going to move on to the next item. Thank you for being here.
At this time, you can receive public comment for closed session items.
Anyone wishing to comment on any of the closed session items we will be dealing with? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, and I'll look to County Council. Do we need to reconvene after closed session, or can we adjourn following closed session?
Mr. Chairman, we may have an announcement following closed session, so we need to come back after closed session.
All right, then we will reconvene after closed session. Thank you all for being here. All right, we are back in session. I will ask County Council to report out from closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On item 14, the existing litigation involving the County of Fresno versus Ferraz-Gill, I want to announce out that the Board of Supervisors, by a 5-0 vote, approved the signature and the authorization for that signature of the chairman of a stipulation for entry of judgment and order thereon in the County of Fresno versus Ferraz-Gill, case number 21-CECG 02474. The terms, general terms of that stipulation, it's a code enforcement matter, provide for an injunction against Mr. Gill and the property at 5450 North Van Ness Boulevard in terms of noise restrictions and certain other activities, and provides for the imposition of a $1,000 penalty if the court orders it for any violations of that stipulation. This stipulation will be filed with the court for approval of the court order, and a copy will be available with the clerk of the board for members of the public.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that was unanimous. We are adjourned.